We need to talk about paying points. You may have heard about this. When you're getting a mortgage, you can pay points, you can buy down a rate. You may have questions about who can pay points. We have seen conversations in my Facebook group saying, my broker said, as an investor, I can't pay points. What hogwash is that? We have heard conversations from buyers saying, my broker says I have to pay points.
Yeah.
What hogwash is that? This is all crazy gobbledygook. So we're going to talk to somebody I know, trust, and respect, Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So let's have some baby steps. What is a point, first off, so everybody starts from the same spot? Can you define that for us?
For sure. And this is where I got to continue to get better. Pretend like I'm talking to my fourth grader. That way it's easy to understand, because not everybody is great with numbers or in finance or in mortgage. So a point, as far as how much it is 1%. 1 point equals 1% of the loan amount. So if you got a $300,000 loan, 1 point is $3,000. Now, what that point gets you is a discounted interest rate. And I'll do another example. If 6.25% interest rate costs you 0 points, maybe the lender says for 1 point, for that $3,000 we discussed, I'll give you a 6% interest rate. Some people call it like paying that interest in advance, right? Because on a monthly basis, you might pay $80 less per month, but up front you pay the $3,000. That's paying points. And that's on investment properties, that's on primary residences, that's on all mortgages. One thing that people should see, and I know I've got it on a ton of my videos, is that when you come to me and you say, I'm buying a primary, I'm buying it for $400,000, I'm putting 25% down, a rate doesn't spit out and say, here's your 6 1/4. A whole rate sheet gets spit out and it says 6 1/4, no points. 6%, 1 point. 5.75, 2 points. 5.5, 3 points. Important for the consumer to know, because you might see a rate that's attractive. This is called marketing. And if they advertise, we've got our owner occupied stuff at 5.375, and you go, wow, this lender's doing big things. I mean, this lender's awesome. They're beating everybody else. And then in the fine print, it says, based on 800 credit score, based on a $1 zillion purchase with 40% down, and oh, by the way, 4 points are being paid. That's the fine print. That's what you need to understand, is rate and cost of rate will vary, and you've got to understand both of them.
Yeah. So one thing I want to make sure everybody hears on this, you said it, but I want to hit it again. It is 1% of the loan, not the purchase price, right? If you're buying a $400,000 home or investment property and you're taking out a $200,000 loan, 1 point is $2,000, not $4,000. So it's not purchase price, it's loan amount.
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
And people sometimes get confused where they say, oh, if the rate is 6 1/4, I'll pay a point. I'll get a 5 1/4 rate. No. The point, 1 point means 1%, right? And so of the loan amount. And so in my example, $300,000 loan, $3,000. And another thing for people to understand is that it doesn't always yield the same results. Exactly. I showed you an example where 6 1/4 to 6% cost a point. The next point might get you 3/8%. So it might go to 5.625. The next point after that might only be an 8. And so like, that's where it's important too. And me and my team are, nuts about this. Look at the rate stack every single time, because different credit score, different loan type, different down payment, different credit profile and buyer profile, all these things, it's going to look different. And if you're not paying attention and you just plug something in and the buyer goes, well, I want whatever's got the least amount of points. I'm looking specifically, Mike, at an investment like rate stack where the lowest cost is 7.625, but you can for less than a point, you can get it all the way to 6.75. So like, why would you stick to the 7.625 when you can go, I'm looking at like on a $300K loan, over $200 a month. And that thing's going to pay for itself within a year. That's where advising matters. That's where looking at the rate stack matters. That's where, like, you don't have to understand this perfectly as a consumer, but you want a loan professional that understands it themselves, can explain it to you in simple terms, and then can give you that stuff, dig questions out of you, like, how long are you going to stay in this home? Is this going to be something that you plan on selling? Is this going to be a long-term hold? What is the overall plan? And then based on your plan, I think this makes sense. And oh, by the way, that $3,000 in upfront cost, 15 months, you'll break even because you're saving $200 a month. After that, it's all gravy. These are the type of conversations, the type of things that, you know, as investors, and I remind my team, this is the reason, in my opinion, why it's not push button, get mortgage, why it's not talk to a call center. You know, a kid, bless his heart, worked at Chick-fil-A last month, and now he's telling you about your biggest financial transaction. It matters how you structure the loan, not just who can get me the loan and who can close it fast, but like professionals that really understand. And I'm hounding my team, ask questions, dig, because we want to structure it in a way that makes sense. And it's different for every client. I might talk to you and you have a different game plan than the next person. And so based on different game plans, we're going to structure loans differently.
Yeah, not only does the point get you different things, like the first point gets you a half, the next point gets you 3/8 or whatever. I could call you today and a point gets me X, and I can call you 2 weeks from now and a point gets me X minus or X plus, right? This is why you have to talk with a professional. You have to stay in touch. You have to see what's going on. Because I've seen so many people say, oh, my broker told me if I paid a point, I'd get 0.5% off my rate. Like, when's the last time you talked to him? Oh, 6 months ago. I'm like,
yeah, he also had a 3.5 for you, pal. Good luck locking that one up. Before I forget, Mike, I'd love to address it because it was questions that people had. I have to pay points or I can't pay points. Both of those not true, but I want to give people benefit of the doubt why something might have been said that got interpreted that way. Somebody tells you have to pay points on investment property. That could be true. And I'm going to give you an example. Right now, a lot of lenders have their rate sheets capped at 7.625 on investment property. 7.625, even if you have great credit, even if you're putting 25% down, probably cost you a point. And their rate stack doesn't go any higher. Late October, early November, rates were worse. They opened up the next coupon. You could get an 8.125. which today I know wouldn't cost you anything. But since we're capped on the rate sheet, and lenders do this for a number of reasons, one of them being they don't want you to immediately pay it off. And if they write you a loan at 8 1/8, you're probably going to pay it off as soon as you can. So 7.625 cost you a point. That's an example where if said incorrectly or heard incorrectly, might be you have to pay points.
Yeah, the other one that I think sometimes comes around, and I've heard this, and I can see how people internalize this. You're having a conversation with a broker, and you're telling them, hey, I want 699. I'm just making this up. And during that conversation, it comes back, well, the only way you're going to get to 699 is paying points. You have to pay points. There are no other options. If you want to buy down the rate stack, yes, it is a true statement. You will have to pay points. The question is, how many? All of that. But yes, there's sometimes you can hear that conversation. If you want to buy down the rate, you are going to have to pay points. I call points prepaid interest. I don't know if that's technically true or not, but that's how I look at it. So I can see how that would be interpreted as well.
Right. And you know, on the other side of the coin where it's like you can't pay points, I'm not sure if there's some loan product where it's like, you know, there are down payment assistance programs where it's like, hey, this is the rate. 7.25 FHA down payment assistance. You can't buy it.
Let's actually make this a little firmer. In my private Facebook group, somebody said, my broker told me as an investor, I can't pay points. And I copied you going, I don't think that's true.
Not true. Not true. What could have been, and I'm just guessing here, is as an investor buying an investment property with a conventional loan, you're capped at 2 points. And so it might be they're like, I want 5.99. I got to have 5.99. And the lender might have said, well, it's on my rate stack, but it's 3.5 points and you're capped at 2. Like, I wouldn't be able to write this loan. It wouldn't pass the points.
It doesn't get approved, right?
Right.
When I push the button, it doesn't.
Yeah, no go. Right. And so I love this conversation, Mike, because I think it's really good information for people to have and understand. You don't have to understand all the nuances or the rate stack or the reasons behind it, but at least have an understanding of it. And the best thing that you can do if you don't have somebody like our team, shout out to greatmortgagebroker.com. That's where you go to connect with us. If you don't have somebody who's pushing you and asking the questions, you ask the questions to yourself. How long do I plan on staying in here? And it's relatively easy math to do when you say, here's one rate that costs this. Here's the next rate that costs this, and then take the difference. $3,000 difference in price and $200 a month less in payment. 3,000 divided by 200 is 15-month break even. Where it gets interesting and nuanced and where you kind of have to decide for yourself is, what if it's not my $3,000? In today's environment, the seller's doing it quite often. And in that case, well, you might say, over the next 2 years, which I'm probably gonna hold this at least 2 years, it's gonna be nice to have this lower payment. Seller's paying it. Let's do it that way.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful advice. Again, sometimes this conversation, you never know when this video will be watched, paying points. If you are in a seller or in a buyer's market, like we are today as this recording, December 26th of 2022, go get your credits. Or is it the 28th? It's the
28th. Yeah, close enough. You're just living the dream, Mike.
Just
don't even know what day it is.
But yeah, so again, if you're going to get the seller, why not, right? Go figure out what the maximum is for your loan product. If it's an investor, it's 2, owner occ 3. Go figure out what that is. But at the end of the day, points are out there. Points are available. There's a whole rate sheet. Again, you got to reach, if you're talking to a call center who's pushing you in one direction, I suggest reaching out to greatmortgagebroker.com, see what the right answer is, see what it's like to work with a professional. Professionals in mortgage should be asking you questions, because it is not push button, see what happens. That is, I believe this push button experience of the last couple of years goes away, because it is service. It is reputation. It is about putting people in products that you would sign up for, not these horrible products that are going to hurt a lot of people. So Matt, how can people follow you? And again, how should they reach out?
Go check me out, Matt the Mortgage Guy on YouTube. 700 plus videos, and I'm still making them all day, every day. And I'm still, my team knows 2023 is going to be a great year. I'm going to be, shoulder to shoulder with them, writing loans, talking to real estate agents, working with investors, investing myself. And so I'm actively involved in it, and I'm making videos based on questions I'm getting, things I'm seeing, interesting, topics about mortgage and what's coming, and all the gamut. So Matt the Mortgage Guy on YouTube. If you want to connect with me and my team, we are nationwide. Go to greatmortgagebroker.com. We've got that down. You're going to be connected with somebody quickly. They're going to do what, like we talked about, ask you questions and find something that suits you.
And if you have a mortgage question, do me a favor, leave it in the comments below. Matt and I look at these all the time, and it will be a topic for next week. Thanks, buddy. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Mike.